together from the cosmic reaches of the universe. Here, in this great hall of the Signal Watch, are the most powerful forces of good ever assembled. Join us as we discuss all manner of topics across the multiverse of comic books, history, creators, storylines, movies, and more. The Signal Watch podcast presents Kryptonian Thought-Beast, a comics podcast series dedicated to truth, justice, and peace for all mankind.
Aquaman, Aquaman, no one greater than Aquaman, king of Atlantis, king of the sea. Where the danger is, that's where he'll be, always defending you, yeah, you and me. Aquaman. Thing in the sea or on the land. With Mira, his beautiful queen, beside him, he'll fight with all his might till the end. Oh, you can always depend on mankind's truest friend, Aquaman.
Hi, and welcome back to the Signal Watch podcast. We're now branding all of the comic book stuff as Kryptonian Thought-Beast, which I guess Jamie finds amusing.
It is amusing.
So, Jamie, this is your first Kryptonian Thought-Beast episode.
I guess so, and what a way to start.
So, yeah, today we just finished watching...
Well... Let's be honest. We've been trying to finish watching Aquaman for the past 3 nights.
Right. So I saw Aquaman in the theater last December, I believe.
Mm-hmm. You went on your own.
I went on my own to like a midnight screening over winter break. And that's what we call it in University Land. It's winter break. So yeah, it's not my favorite movie. I'm gonna be real honest with you people.
Yeah, sorry, because I know there are definitely fans of this movie, but...
It made $1 billion, so we're the wrong one. We're wrong.
This was real bad, y'all.
What?
And it could have been good. Like, I could see little slivers of potential.
Uh-huh.
Like, I thought Jason Momoa is very charismatic, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I know there are women out there that are like, oh, Jason Momoa and some dudes. They're just like, oh, hey. But
you like your dudes doughier, is what I like to think.
No, I don't know. I think the personality kind of is off-putting to me a little bit. The kind of like bro thing. The surfer guy.
So
I don't know.
You don't want me being like, oh yeah.
Well, when you do it, it's funny.
Okay. I think mine's a little more Kool-Aid Man than anything else.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned Kool-Aid Man, because I know that there's a lot of breaking through walls in this movie.
Yeah.
And literally what I wrote down is Black Manta's army is made up of Kool-Aid men.
It's true.
Because they spend an entire fight scene breaking through. How many did you count?
I think it was 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Walls. Yeah. The first time I saw this movie, I said to Jamie at the very beginning, when the Atlanteans come and grab Alana, played by Nicole Kidman, I was like, oh, they're going to be breaking through a lot of walls in this movie.
He was not wrong.
Yeah, that's the I'm going to
with a lot of explosions.
Yeah, you fire first.
Yeah.
So everyone gets knocked down.
Right.
And then you jump through the hole that you made with
it's
your
more dramatic that
underwater
way.
laser cannon. Yeah.
More destruction.
Yeah, I think what I find vexing on a second viewing of this movie is what you just said, that it could have been good. But it isn't.
No.
And it shows that you can throw a lot of money at a movie to make it look like a good movie, But that doesn't change if you have a bad script. It doesn't change if Amber Heard's delivering every line as if she's in a 90210 episode.
Yeah, that was really disappointing to me because she was in Justice League. And I actually thought she was decent in that movie. Like, I actually liked her more than him.
Yeah, he was very unlikable in Justice League. So, yeah.
And so I was kind of looking forward to her character in this movie.
Yeah,
And she just wasn't good. I don't know if the script was that... I think the script was that bad.
So, yeah, I mean, I want to take this apart a little bit.
Yeah.
And take the script apart. I feel like... So, I don't know. When you probably enjoyed it when you watched it because it made $1 billion and we're wrong. But the entire script is exposition.
It is.
Including character moments are exposition. They sit around and explain what they've just been through and what that means to them.
Right.
Like, it doesn't just happen. You don't just have that shot of, Robert Downey Jr. feeling things because a thing just happened, and you can interpret from, the scientist who helped him get out of the cave is dead. Now he's sad. He's feeling anxiety. He'd be like, oh, that guy just died, and now I'm feeling really bad about that, and I'm responsible for it. I mean, that's this movie.
It is. And the few little tiny, I guess you can call them character moments, just seem really forced. Like, and I'm thinking specifically of their romantic development. Like, she falls off of the statue and he catches her, and they're touching hands now, and I'm feeling something. It's really obvious. Like,
it's not. Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not natural at all.
No, it feels. And I often say it feels like a 13-year-old wrote the script, but it feels like a 13-year-old wrote the script.
That is the best description I have of the dialogue in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also this curious thing where everybody else is speaking in kind of this like. They don't go for like the fake Shakespearean like Superman the movie, but they do definitely all stand around.
They're trying to sound important.
Yes, every line that's not by Aquaman is delivered as if they're saying something that's very scripted and it's very important, and then he comes in and goes, "Suck it."
Yeah, and they respond to it.
Well, they don't respond to it. They always just let it go by. No one takes him like he's always like, "I heard you, but you can suck it." And people just deliver the next line. I
mean, they give it respect.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, like, that's a stupid line.
Yeah.
But they treat it as if it's normal.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no raised eyebrows. There's no, like, what is with this guy?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not acting like anybody, including his father, like anybody else really in the movie. He's just walking around insulting everybody like an 8th grader who has just become too big for his britches, and like everyone's like, crap, what are we gonna do? This guy's huge and he's still an 8th grader. But that's not even, there's not even any reaction to it. It all feels like a long comedy bit that's not working, that just keeps happening scene after scene.
I would be curious.
She responds a little bit.
Yeah.
But not much.
I mean, he has lines like, "Do you want me to pee on it?" And she gives him a look, but stuff like that. I would be curious to see if 12, 13-year-olds did respond positively to that.
I would have when I was 12. I absolutely would have. I would have thought that was great.
Yeah.
And he's sticking it to the man. Everyone else is a square.
I mean, like I told Ryan, it reminded me of seeing Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves for the first time. I don't even know if I told you that.
No,
or if
you
that
never
was,
said that.
Okay, that was
that
in
was
my. That was going in my head while we were watching it. I meant to tell him afterwards, but it felt like watching that. Like, I don't know. There's the part where Christian Slater just. I mean, this is like. It's not medieval times. I don't know, Robin Hood times. It just looks up and goes, "Oh, fuck me," It just felt like that.
Yeah.
Without the profanity.
Yeah. No, it's safe for 5-year-olds. But yeah, I mean, it just, everything about it felt like they wanted to make him smart, but it all felt, because he's, I know all my history and all that. And so, how do you know that? My pops told me about all these.
Yeah, but then he comes across as a dumb guy.
But it's also like, but your father's a lighthouse keeper. It doesn't mean you can't know history, but it was like, in what context? Like, there's some... Did he want him to? I guess he was trying to make some connection between Atlantis mythology and Greek mythology or something or other, but he has this
part didn't bother me as much.
No, but it was just kind of typical of the he was suddenly smart when he needed to be for scenes.
Yeah.
Because you gotta secretly be the Bugs Bunny who's like smarter than everybody around you, sort of. Which I always have kind of an appreciation for. Just didn't really think it anyway worked particularly well. But the exposition thing was what really got me. Much like Suicide Squad, honestly, which just began over and over as they kept explaining what you were seeing and who these people were over and over. This movie doesn't just explain over and over and over what's happening, but James Wan is firmly of the belief that you can't ever just kind of mention something and let people fill in the dots. You got to tell A, the whole story, and B, show the whole story.
Yeah.
And you can do one or the other, but they're doing both all the time. The only time they don't do it is when he unnecessarily has flashbacks that don't really drive the movie forward.
Oh, and I thought those flashbacks were horrible because the kid actors in them, and teenage actors, whatever, were terrible.
Yeah, there's a really awkward scene that the kid is just like smiling and like looking up as he's sitting with Volko, and
looking at the fish.
Yeah, and you're like, this is really bad, man. Yeah. This really shouldn't be in a $200 million movie. But the movie, go ahead.
No, I was thinking it's Willem Dafoe too. It's like he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Well, also, every time he showed up on screen in this movie, I was like, so he's going to be the villain, right? Just because it was Willem Dafoe, and I was so used to it.
So I know Volko from the comics,
So that was actually a pleasant surprise to me.
Well, to Orm, he was the villain, Jamie. So in a way, you're right.
Well, yeah, I guess so. So I'm probably the worst person to be podcasting this with you because, one, I didn't know we were going to podcast until like 2/3 of the way through. Mm-hmm. So I really was not paying attention. Like you said, the dialogue was just pure exposition, and it was hard to follow. Like, not because it was complicated. It was just boring.
It was boring. It was made up things with made up names of no consequence.
Yeah, exactly.
They felt like they had to build this really rich mythology, which if they have any sequels, will never get referenced again.
It's not going to be important.
They tried to do way too much in the movie, too.
They did.
It's very much set up as like a video game sort of thing where you got to fight your way to the big boss. You got to go collect the... I mean, a lot of movies are set up that way. That's not a huge sin, but they didn't do the. They didn't even think through the costuming in the movie, which is just offensive.
Yeah, I said to Ryan, "Why is that man wearing a cape underwater?"
They're wearing capes underwater
because it looks regal, probably.
I guess, but there's no adjustment to the fact they lived underwater other than their stuff now looks vaguely like scallopy or whatever. But they're underwater wearing armor. I have to assume is made out of metal, which is, I mean, I know they're all supposed to be super strong, but you're like, but you've already shown you can shrug off a shell, and there's just lots of things like that where you're just like, think it through just like a little bit, don't have them all have long hair and then all pull it back. That just doesn't make sense in the water.
Yeah, that actually stuck out to me because I know they did it because it was easier to animate. They'd have to they had to animate his flowy hair.
Well, they also, if you looked, you noticed Orm's hair was short at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But they must have just messed up because he has long hair that's pulled back
through the rest of the movie.
And there are shots where it's the back of his head, and they animated his hair as if it's moving in waves. There's water moving around, on the strands that aren't pulled down tight enough.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, it's really well done, well thought out animation on a really bad concept. And they do, there's all this other stuff that's just not thought out. Okay, so the guys all wear this, stormtrooper armor that they use to go up onto the surface world, which are just in what context did you have this? Where were you using this?
Well,
why do you?
If this is the first time they've been on the surface, they wouldn't need the water helmet
and
underwater.
Then Mera, as they're getting attacked, totally forgets that she can control water, which she can turn into apparently bullets.
Yeah, she spends like 20 minutes running from them.
Yeah, and it's like, well, surely you can control the water inside their suits.
Yeah.
That they have to survive. Which, by the way, who knows if they have to have it to survive?
Well, that was confusing because, like, she and Aquaman and some other people can breathe air.
Yeah.
Why can't these people? I guess they're different species. I don't know.
It wasn't for the plot in that moment. Yeah, they couldn't. But at the end of the movie, where he's standing, yelling, where they're all for some reason on top of the ocean, having the fight on the belly of an inverted boat, I guess that's what that was.
Yeah.
Which has rudders underneath it, which doesn't really make a lot of sense if you're actually underwater, like submarines. Anyway, it's got a lot of issues. It just says, when you have something that has that many like design flaws, where it's like someone like me can look at it and be like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why would that be?
Well, that was part of the disappointing. And you had mentioned this, that there are some shots in this movie that are gorgeous. Mm-hmm. They have real potential.
Yeah, Atlantis looks better than it ever did in the comics, and that's just hands down.
It's beautiful until the end when it's just pure chaos and you can't tell what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, they
like 2 billion more sea creatures than you need.
Yeah. Fighting
each other.
Well, I mean, and you saw the first hint of like how this was going to go when they had the Ring of Fire fight, and the initial.
They have like 3 million people like in this stadium,
in a stadium that apparently these guys are all so strong they can knock over the rocks. Anyway, so like if you've had more than 3 fights in this thing, this whole thing's falling apart. All of that aside, the cinematography in that sequence sucks. Mm-hmm. Like you can't tell what's happening. It's just really bad fight choreography, and I know that's not like James Wan. Is it? Maybe he is known for.
I don't know.
Fast and the Furious.
Is that what he's done? I've never seen a Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, we'll say Fast and the Furious, but yeah, it just all felt kind of rushed and kind of poorly thought out. I'm trying to see what else I wrote down.
Well, and also I'm trying to give some props. You said you liked the design on Black Manta. Mm-hmm.
Did you not like his design?
No, I did, but it was ruined for me because that actor, the way he delivered his lines, I was like, it's Dark Helmet.
Oh my god.
You are my father's brother's uncle's cousin's former roommate.
Yeah.
That's what he felt like the whole movie.
There definitely was something. Yeah, I wrote down one, I didn't know how they generated the giant wave that attacked like the East Coast, like Maine, like very specifically Aquaman's home for some reason.
I mean, like Mera could probably do that. She can control water, but
yeah, they just never like. Was it a machine? Was it all the Atlanteans like thinking real hard? Like there was no explanation. All we know is giant wave attacked, which you will never hear about again through the rest of the movie. But apparently, so it wasn't really clear on like they're like, oh well, we have the greatest military, whatever. I'm like, yeah, they're on a bunch of fish. Like, do what you will, but your army isn't going to be too effective once you get within 15 feet of shore.
Well, then I wasn't real clear because that seemed to be their only attack on the surface people. Uh-huh. And then they talk about it later on, but then at the very end they're just fighting each other.
Well, because he was trying to... The brine, who were like the crab people, weren't willing to join his 7-nation army or whatever. So yeah, they were trying to get like the people with the fishtails.
Yeah.
And then so that's why of course that army's going to be loyal to him after he's murdered their king, because that's the way things apparently work.
Yeah, there's a lot of murder in the end of this movie.
And yeah, so he was going to murder the Brine King, which apparently by law, everything's about by law versus by the way shit would actually happen. Yeah, it's a little fishy, Jamie, is what it is. Yeah. Unfortunately for this movie as well, it suffers from the problem of Ant-Man and the Wasp had come out 6 months before it, and it has basically the same, instead of it being Hope Van Dyne's mom popping out being Michelle Pfeiffer, it's Yeah, it's Nicole Kidman pops out, and she's been hiding in a different transdimensional. Now, did you know where they were when she was on there? Okay.
No, I was like, what? We're with dinosaurs now? What is happening?
So this was actually a deep DC cut. Not that deep if you're around in the 80s, but there was a comic called Warlord that basically pitched the idea that the Earth is hollow, and in the middle of the Earth is the place called Skartaris. And there's dinosaurs and like all kinds of crazy stuff living down there. And this guy, I think his name was Travis. I can't remember his name.
We'll call him Travis.
I think his name really was Travis.
Oh,
okay. He got lost down there. He was like an archaeologist, and he was basically kind of like a John Carter sort of thing. Like, he falls in love, and
Yeah,
whatever.
that was not clear at all.
Well, they didn't show Warlord, did they? They just showed. Not Michelle Pfeiffer, Nicole Kidman running around. So yeah, that was. I was excited to see Skartaris make an appearance in a feature film. I wasn't expecting that. What else did I write down here?
I'll give it another compliment. I liked how they handled the underwater sound effects with their voices. There's just a little hint of your voice sounds a little different, but it wasn't the whole like glub 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 that it could have been.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been, but it was. I thought it sounded good.
Yeah, and some of the other stuff they didn't really think about was just basically how people move in the water.
Oh yeah,
which seemed
that looked completely silly.
Kind of key. Yeah,
they had like this.
If people would like turn to leave and then porpoise away, like boop 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 boop. It was like,
unspecified propulsion.
Yeah.
Like, how are they moving?
Yeah, they would do this like porpoise kick with both feet, and you're kind of like, just let them kick with both feet. It looks much more natural for the way the human bodies. I understand they're trying to give it this like oh well, they lived
They're
under
not
this.
mer people.
Right. If it was the mer people who had a fishtail, that would have made sense.
Yeah.
They don't have a fishtail, so let them just kick their little feeties. Like that makes much more sense. It also had this score that you could tell like.
Oh my god, the music.
DC was like, oh man, we need to score this, and Thor with Ragnarok was really cool. Like, let's get some 80s synth in here for some reason, even though this doesn't seem to fit.
Well, they have like 3 different kinds of music that just didn't match up. Like their regular score, this like synth stuff, and then just pop music that was just thrown in there that sounded like it was just like whatever was on the editor's playlist at the time.
Yeah, seemed to sometimes
it was
not have
so
anything
random
to do with what, like when they're in the desert, it's like hip hop.
Yeah,
like time for some hip hop because for some reason, yeah. I also was curious. So the Trench are very new to the DC universe. The angry fish people.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. Do they explain in this that those are like Atlanteans who like went bad?
The ones that attacked his boat at the end? No! They didn't explain anything about those
Sorry
things.
if I just spoiled that. So yeah, James Wan also wants to make like a movie about just the Trench. I'm like, you understand that's like making a movie about like killer ants.
That was
like,
boring as hell.
Yeah. I mean, he got some pretty shots out of it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
But he essentially turns into like a horror movie very briefly where they're like
swarming him.
Yeah, they're swarming inside, so they're like hiding inside the cabin of the boat, and you're like, yeah, we got a whole 2-minute horror movie going on here. Cool beans. But
I felt like they didn't. I mean, I guess you said he wanted to make another movie, but I felt they didn't need those guys.
No.
At all.
No.
I mean, I guess they helped him at the end.
Yeah, they helped him at the end, and they were supposed to. Yeah, no, it didn't really.
I guess they took him to his mom? Guided him to his mom?
No. They were trying to murder him. If she hadn't used her water powers, they would have been murdered.
So his mom was hiding in a trench guy suit.
She was wearing like bones of things that she'd scavenged.
Oh, see, I thought that she was trying to be one of them.
I mean... It doesn't not work. I see where you're going with that. Sure.
No.
It's like really. It's like what's the zombie movie where they pretend to be zombies?
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it now.
Anyway,
Simon Pegg.
Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty much all I wrote down. I mean, I do think in a lot of ways it's like this beautiful movie. It's like if you turned it off and just turned off the sound and just like let it go. Like the armor's kind of cool looking, even though it's stupid and impractical. Which, I mean, we're also been spoiled by 10 years of the Marvel U, where they would like think through every detail of every costume, right?
Yeah.
In DC's, that's never really been their bag, like practicality. But I mean, Batman wears a giant cape and jumps around. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. But, yeah, I mean, it's got that going for it. I'll give it that. They managed to cast some decent people who at least got a paycheck. I feel good knowing, like, Patrick Wilson made some coin off being in this. He's not horrible as Orm, I guess.
No, and I've seen him do in decent movies. He just sometimes picks really bad stuff to be in, but I guess they're giving him money, so.
Yeah. Just be happy for the speedboat he bought.
Right. I don't know. Like you said, there are parts of it that are gorgeous, but there's just times where it's too much. Like the end fight scene, I felt like I was watching Ready Player One again. Yeah. Like, it's so hard. Like, it's too much on screen to process.
Yeah.
If they had cut it down by like 20%, one, they would have reduced their workload, and it would have looked a lot better.
I mean, someone out there is enjoying that, I guess.
Are they?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny because I don't even remember the end of Suicide Squad. I just remember it kind of kept plodding along, but it was like contained. There were like 6 of them, and then there was like 2 of the bad guys or something. And that seemed to kind of wrap up. But like Wonder Woman, like everyone's complaint is Wonder Woman's great till the last like 20-minute endless fight scene.
Oh, totally agree.
And that's just like 2 people just going at it. So you can't really do that either. So I don't really, I mean, there's a happy medium somewhere. This wasn't it. And so my big beef when I saw Man of Steel as a Superman fan was, of course, that, well, one, him murdering somebody on his first outing as Superman. I mean, I know he didn't murder him, but he couldn't think of anything else to do in a movie that was about a character intended for 5-year-olds. Well done, edgelords. This is the exact same damn thing. Mm-hmm. Exactly. The only difference is he doesn't kill Orm, but he shows up to take the throne of Atlantis by having a giant monster that is unstoppable just start killing all of his subjects. Yeah. That's his big hello. That's his opening song.
Division between like who are the Atlanteans and who are the quote unquote bad guys. Yeah. Like who are the bad guys here? I don't know. Because he's fighting some Atlanteans.
Yeah. Why are they fighting? We don't know.
Yeah,
and it falls into that like we're loyal to the king business. That's just really uninteresting.
And I remember when you came home from this movie the first time, one of your biggest beefs was they're sitting there smooching, having their big romance moment, and like people are just dying in waves behind them.
Yeah.
There's just explosions happening all over them, like fireworks.
Hundreds of people being killed.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like oh, it's so beautiful behind them. Like, that's murder happening.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah. And she's like, they're like rubbing up
totally
on each other.
Into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't help but notice they were straddling like each other like in that shot this time. Because I was just so shocked the first time that they decided to do it again after Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're gonna make out on the ashes of the dead Metropolitans, and I was like, oh, and they were like, oh man, yeah, that was a big mistake. We're gonna try and spend all of Batman versus Superman and Justice League fixing that, and they come back for this one, we're like, gonna do it again, and nobody noticed. Nobody said anything. It was hilarious. Yeah, Aquaman.
I
mean,
I did get to see him on his seahorse.
I mean, that was the thing, is like, I remember going to the store and seeing like the toys and being like, yeah, if I were like 5, I'd have been into this so much. It's like you can buy a shark with like a laser on its head.
But as a parent, do you want your 5-year-old watching this movie?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it wasn't that bad.
No.
As far as violence. They didn't really show like limbs being torn off.
I mean, the Death Star, baby.
That's true.
I mean,
that's true.
Same difference. But yeah, I mean, they did show a little bit of like sharks like eating people and stuff, but it was all pretty fast and bloodless and whatever. But Mira does cut off a dude's hand like on screen. So in Italy.
Wow, I didn't even remember that part.
Yeah, I didn't see it the first time. I just saw it this time. But yeah. Anyway, Aquaman is currently available via Amazon.
Streaming on Amazon Prime.
It actually, I don't know. We watched it on HBO. It wasn't
okay.
directly on Amazon.
Oh,
so,
right.
yeah, I was scrolling through to see what was on HBO. And it's like, oh, Aquaman. You gotta watch this. It's ridiculous.
My apologies if you liked this. I doubt you sat through this if you liked this and put up with our nonsense.
No, I want to hear. I want to hear what is good about Aquaman. Please.
Yeah. Get at us.
Yeah, please send in texts, emails, skywriting. I would love to hear what you saw.
Angry pigeons.
Yeah, that you were like, yeah, man, Aquaman. This movie's got something to say to us as a people.
Well, that was the thing. Like, it kind of in the beginning, the Atlanteans were saying you kind of understood why they were upset at the land people because they were throwing all their garbage in the sea.
Yeah,
and then somewhere along the line, that just went away, and they just
Orm is absolutely right in this movie.
Yeah,
he's 100% right. Aquaman is 100% in the wrong. There's no doubt about that. I should have brought that up right from the get-go. Like, the humans have been treating the oceans as
like
a
their
toilet.
garbage can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I also don't know exactly how they got a submarine to shoot missiles at them to trick Dolph Lundgren into thinking there was a war, because there was no one in the submarine.
I don't even remember that part.
It happened at the beginning. It was when Dolph Lundgren and he first,
Yeah.
But
that was 3 nights ago.
Yeah.
Don't watch this movie in 3 parts. You'll be so lost. Okay.
There's a lot of water under the bridge since then. So, yeah, no, please, by all means, write into Kryptonian Thought-Beast and tell us
your thoughts.
Yeah, tell us your thoughts. We want to hear how. I want to put this out there as a final, just like Black Manta knife to the chest sort of thing, as we leave. I'm going to argue that there's a lot of Donald Trump in Aquaman.
Oh, I almost said that in the middle of this podcast.
Yeah.
But then I held off because I didn't know if you wanted to go there.
I mean, we can.
There absolutely is.
I mean, because he's absolutely doing the like, oh, if I had my shot, I'd be a perfect, and the kind of he's gonna disrupt the swamp. He's gonna he's gonna change everything. He's gonna turn all these old stodgy rules on their head by being just a dude who speaks the truth from the hip.
There's apparently a lot of people in this country
and
who
he's
like
orange
that.
as well. So.
Yeah. And on that political note,
Kryptonian Thought-Beast, episode 1. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Sorry we ruined Aquaman for you. Not really.
bye.
Aquaman, he can swim faster than the fastest thing in the sea or on the land. With Mira, his beautiful queen, beside him, he'll fight like dynamite till the end. Oh, you can always depend on mankind's truest friend, Aquaman.
That about wraps it up for this edition of The Signal Watch, a production of the League of Melbotus. Thanks for sticking with us.
If you enjoyed this podcast, we invite you to drop on by the Signal Watch blog, where you'll find write-ups of a wide variety of movies and more. You can drop comments on this podcast and let us know what you think. We do have a Signal Watch Patreon, and if you're so moved, we'd most certainly appreciate your support. We'll be back soon with more exceedingly high-quality content. So, until next time, God damn it, babies. You've got to be kind.